Hi, I'm Alli Reed, the founder of Stratia, and today we are going to talk about how to build a routine. The most important thing to keep in mind when you're building a routine is that there is no one-size-fits-all for skincare. It 100% depends on your specific skin. It's so easy to get wrapped up in people critiquing routines and you should use this and never use these two things together. What makes a perfect skincare routine for you is if your skin looks and feels better at the end of it. And that's kind of it. So today I'm going to walk through the process of getting to know your skin, to know exactly what it needs so that you can choose products that are the most likely to work for you, and how to layer products, how to know what your skin needs. The first and most important thing is getting to know your skin type, because there are so many products on the market and it is actually really satisfying to be able to just eliminate a huge swath of them because they're not right for your specific skin. The fundamental skin types are dry, oily, normal, and combination. The way you can figure that out is actually a really simple test. Just go wash your face with whatever cleanser you normally use, don't put anything on, and then wait a couple of hours. At the end of those 2 hours, if your skin feels really tight and maybe itchy and you want to move it around, that generally means you have dry skin. If your skin feels kind of slick and shiny and you want to blot it, that means you have oily skin. If it feels comfortable and nice and it's just a regular day, congratulations, you're one of the 3 people in the world who has normal skin. And if those tests give you different results when you do it in January versus when you do it in July, then you have combination seasonal skin. And if the test gives you different results in one part of your face than another, say you're really oily right here and maybe dry around the edges of your face, then you have traditional combination skin. The difference between dry and oily skin is how much oil your skin naturally produces. Oily skin overproduces oil, dry skin underproduces oil. And we kind of tend to think of oil as something you don't want on your skin. We have that, the marketing we grew up with is you want your skin squeaky clean and zero oil, but actually oil is incredibly important to your skin. It's what keeps it waterproof, it keeps it healthy, it keeps it able to fight off bacteria. So you always want some oil in your skin's natural sebum. Dry skin doesn't have enough of it, so you want to supplement it. Oily skin just makes a little too much, so you want to use products that aren't gonna add to that oil and weigh you down. Combination skin, when you have one part of your skin is oily and another part is dry, you can actually treat those as if they are 2 different faces. You can use certain products on the oily parts of your skin and other products on the dry parts of your skin so that you don't have to find a one-size-fits-all face even for your entire face. If you have combination seasonal skin, so maybe it feels your skin is super dry in the winter and super oily in the summer, then you can kind of, the same way you change your wardrobe throughout the seasons, you can strip things down in the summer so that you're not feeling so weighted down, and then add in some layers in the winter to add some hydration, add some emollients so that you don't get, that sort of chapped, dry feeling that we often associate with winter air. So once you have a good foundation of your skin type, next you want to figure out what your actual skin concerns are. And it's tempting when you shop for skincare, all the promises that all the skincare products make in their marketing, it all sounds amazing. Of course I want to unclog my pores. Of course I want firm, glowing skin. But it's a lot better to narrow it down and pick 1 or 2 main things that you want to address. What are your biggest concerns? What are your biggest skincare goals? And start specific. You can certainly add on as you get more comfortable with your skin and as you find those sort of holy grail products that are so great for your skin, but start simple. Hyperpigmentation is a really common skin concern. So that can look like, dark spots from blemishes. It can look like sunspots or melasma during pregnancy. That just means that your skin is overproducing melanin in certain spots. That's one common skin concern. Blemishes are a huge concern, and those breakouts can be caused by so many different factors, from clogged pores, from using the wrong products, from super oily skin. There's a lot of stuff that can contribute to blemishes. Aging is a big concern. I think we all need to embrace aging to some extent. We can't get away from it. Time is ticking. I think, embracing some wrinkles and fine lines as proof that you have a life well lived is wonderful. That said, there are also some things you can address to maintain some of that firmness, some of that glow as we get older. Dehydration is a really common skin concern that a lot of people don't even know they have. So dehydrated skin means that outer barrier of your skin, your moisture barrier, is compromised, which means it's letting water evaporate out through it, and it's letting too much stuff in. So it can't really fight off the bacteria that cause acne very well. So sometimes blemishes are caused by a damaged moisture barrier. It can mean that your skin is simultaneously flaky and oily, which is if you're really confused by that wash and wait test, because you're like, my whole face is dry and oily at the same time, it could be dehydration. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that it could actually be a root cause of some of the other skin concerns you have, where you can address one thing and fix a lot of things all at once. Get to know your unique skin. It is like no one else's. It's a living organ. It changes with the seasons and with your environment. Get to know what it likes, what it doesn't like. Pick a couple of main things you want to address, and then we can start the fun part of building a routine. So in its most fundamental way, the differences in a skin routine between dry skin and oily skin is really going to come down to, do you want to augment the amount of oil you have, or do you want to minimize it? So dry skin, you want to add in some natural oils so that your skin can stay really pliable and healthy, and it just feels nice. If you have dry skin, you know that feeling of just like tight, like you feel like you're almost wearing a mask. So adding in some emollients, some oils, some occlusives can do incredible things for your skin. Cleansing makes such a huge difference in all skin types, but dry skin especially. You want to make sure when you cleanse that you are not stripping your natural oils, because you have so little to begin with. So you want to use a super gentle cleanser. I always recommend using a non-foaming cleanser for everyone, but especially for dry skin. Velvet cleansing milk is actually a great choice for dry skin in particular, because it's a non-foaming cream cleanser. So what it does is it'll pull off the dirt from the day, the grime, the pollution, help it rinse cleanly away without interfering with your skin's natural oils. So once you've picked your gentle cleanser for dry skin, you want to augment it with products that are going to help lock in moisture, going to help augment that lack of natural oils. A facial oil is so crucial for dry skin. I think if I had one desert island product, it would be Fortify, which is Stratia's facial oil. Facial oils can help they mimic your natural skin oil, so it's just really a one-to-one of adding in exactly what your skin is missing. Your skin will drink it up. Your skin is oil-based to begin with, so it will absorb oil. But just use it earlier in your routine, follow it up with a moisturizer, and it can make such a difference. With dry skin, it's also important, even your actives need to be focused on not drying your skin out. So Night Shift is a great option for a retinoid for dry skin. It is encapsulated retinol, so it really helps with a lot of anti-aging concerns, with a lot of blemish concerns, but it's still in a really nourishing, moisturizing formula that's going to replenish exactly what your skin needs. It's not going to dry it out. It's going to make sure that even while it's doing all of that wonderful active work, it's still leaving you with really bouncy, comfortable skin. Oily skin is kind of the opposite of dry skin. You're making a little too much oil. So you need a lot of that oil to keep your skin healthy, but you don't necessarily want to be adding a ton of oil on top of that. With cleansers, you still want to go gentle, you still want to go low pH, but you do have a little more room to play with. You can use a very gentle foaming cleanser if that feels better for you. Beyond cleansers, people with oily skin tend to do best with a lot of really light layers. So that way you can feel out exactly how many layers your skin wants. Like, if you are dressing in, a cardigan and a jacket and a scarf, and that way you can take the scarf off if maybe you don't need it that day. That's sort of what an oily skin wardrobe can look like. Rewind is an amazing choice for oily skin because it is so packed in vitamins and everything your skin needs in a really lightweight, hydrating formula. It's also formulated with niacinamide, which is one of the few ingredients that can actually regulate sebum production. So if your skin is overproducing sebum, that natural oil, it can actually help over time reduce the amount of oil your skin makes. Oily skin can contribute to breakouts. And so a lot of people with oily skin struggle with blemishes. That's also why people going through puberty tend to struggle with blemishes so much, because those hormones are spiking, and hormones are what are triggering a lot of that sebum production. So a lot of people tend to have very oily skin when they're going through puberty, which can really lead to a lot of breakouts. It's why a lot of those things tend to resolve themselves post-puberty, because those hormones regulate themselves. That said, a lot of us continue to struggle with blemishes well into our 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. It seems like a cruel joke, but we can learn to live with it, learn to love our skin. So if you are dealing with blemishes, an exfoliant like Soft Touch AHA is so crucial. It can regulate that cell turnover so that, dead skin cells can actually accumulate in your pores, which clogs them and causes breakouts. So regulating cell turnover, making sure you're getting rid of the dead skin on the surface that's gonna clog those pores and help to just create an overall brighter skin tone. Now, I mentioned dehydrated skin. So that's when that moisture barrier sees damage. And as I mentioned, it can have so many different symptoms associated with it. So it can be a cause of breakouts. It can be a reason that your skin is dry and oily at the same time. Often it looks like super sensitive skin. So like when you touch your skin, it turns red, or even the most gentle moisturizer stings. It just is one of those things that can have so many different effects on your skin. The most important thing you can do for dehydrated skin is reinforce it. Put on products that mimic your skin's natural moisture barrier to help fortify it from the inside. I formulated Liquid Gold specifically with ceramides, cholesterol, and fatty acids, which are the same 3 ingredients in your skin's natural moisture barrier. So it can actually mimic and reinforce that barrier from the inside and help your skin fight its own battles. If you're dealing with hyperpigmentation, you want to add products with ingredients that will regulate melanin production. So you've got these little skin cells in the basal layer of your epidermis called melanocytes, which are the things that generate melanin. If they get tweaked from sun damage, from age, from hormones, they can start overproducing melanin, which is what leads to, freckles, sunspots, things like that. It can also be damaged from blemishes that cause inflammation, can leave behind a melanin deposit. You want to look for products that have ingredients that regulate that process. They're often called tyrosinase inhibitors. Tyrosinase is an enzyme that facilitates melanin production. So if you can inhibit tyrosinase production, you can actually stop that overproduction of melanin before it gets started. C+C serum is one of the best products for melanin overproduction and for hyperpigmentation. The antioxidants in it will really help brighten your skin, and vitamin C is also incredible at reducing hyperpigmentation. So now that you've figured out your skin type and you know exactly the 1 or 2 concerns that you really want to address, start by creating a really simple routine. So the most basic skincare routine out there is just going to be cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen. Sunscreen is non-negotiable because it is the only skincare product that can actually save your life. UV damage is linked really heavily to skin cancer. It is not something you want to play around with. And the best sunscreen is the one you'll use. So don't necessarily think you have to get something that's SPF 70. You have to get the one that is most expensive. Just get one that actually feels nice, that you can integrate it into your everyday morning routine so you can put it on without thinking about it. Cleanser is super important in a most fundamental way so that you can wash off that sunscreen at the end of the day. Cleansers also make such a big difference in your skin because so many of our skin concerns are caused by pollution, by dirt, by makeup. So making sure that you can wash all that off at the end of the day is so important. For most people, you can actually get away with just washing your skin in the evening. That's what I do. I have super dry skin, and if I wash it twice a day, it strips too much from my skin. So I wash at the end of the day to get off all of the stuff I've accumulated on my face throughout the day. You know, I've washed in the evening, so when I wake up, the only thing I've done is slept on my bed. There's really not much that's accumulated, so I can just rinse my face with water and get started on my routine. If that doesn't feel nice, if you wake up feeling grimy or you just want to feel that fresh feeling, you absolutely can wash twice a day. And moisturizer is so important for skin health, for skin appearance. So finding a moisturizer that makes you feel hydrated, keeps you comfortable all day, doesn't make you feel greasy, is going to be so important. For a lot of people, especially people with normal to oily skin, liquid gold can be a great standalone moisturizer. For people with dry skin, it might not quite be emollient enough. I formulated it to be pretty lightweight so that people with super oily skin can still use it. With drier skin, you may want a more emollient formula, a more occlusive formula to help you lock in that moisture all day. So that's your basic routine. You've got cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen. So once you have that locked in, you can add in those one or two products that are going to help you address whatever specific concerns you've identified, so that you've got still a really basic routine, but one that's really tailored to your specific skin, your specific concerns. When you introduce a new product, it's so tempting to buy so many new products at once and then just throw them all on your face and you're like, I'm gonna wake up looking like a newborn baby. That can be really bad for your skin, actually. Skin can be really finicky. It can freak out if you put too many products on it. So it's really important, as difficult as it can be, introduce those products really slowly, no more than one new product a week. That's also important not just to keep your skin from freaking out, but if you want a skincare routine that's based around efficacy, if you're adding all these products at once, how do you know what's actually working? You want to make sure that when you add a new product, you're giving it enough time to work, to see how it's working, to see if it's breaking you out, to see if it's meeting its claims. Give it some time on its own so that you can, follow the scientific method, test your hypothesis, see if it's working. And then if it's not working, great, you can get rid of it, you can try something else. You don't need to build up this super elaborate routine and then not know what is actually affecting your skin. So add one product a week, one product every 2 weeks if you have really good self-restraint, and build from there. See what your skin actually likes or doesn't like, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. It doesn't matter if you're meeting all these arbitrary rules about what a skincare routine should or shouldn't like. If you read a YouTube review that says always do this and your skin doesn't like it, then you don't have to do that. At the end of the day, skincare is self-care. It's to make our skin look and feel better. And if that's not happening, then you get to change your skincare routine to make it exactly what you want it to be. I hope that this was helpful to build a skincare routine from scratch, maybe to help evaluate your existing skincare routine and improve upon it. If there's any other questions you have, please leave a comment below. I would love to address it in our next video. You can head to our website, stratiaskin.com, for a lot more information, and I'll catch you next time.